Hi everybody and welcome. This is Daniel Gray. I am the Trailer Park Prophet, broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Crestone, Colorado. This is Sunday on Monday. Welcome aboard. So everyone's abuzz about what is going on in Ferguson, Missouri. That poor young man, Michael Brown, was shot dead a week ago. And that was the talk on... Hold on a second.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we're connecting you now.
Alright, so everybody's talking about Michael Brown. In case you didn't hear, he was shot down by a policeman a week ago Saturday, and now we have more information. The autopsy report is out, and Michael Brown was facing the officer when he got shot. There is some 6 shots, maybe 7. 2 headshots, and the rest of the shots, I believe there was 4 shots in his body, 2 shots in his head, something like that. But there were shots to... Alright, hang on here. Maybe when I shut the door it affects my... shoot, hang on.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we're reconnecting you now.
Alright, are you there? Okay, alright, looks like I'm disconnected. Hang on, everybody. Let me try to get back. Let's see, it might be able to bring me back. Okay, I'm going to try back in with Skype. Could have something to do with I was closing the windows. I got to get another antenna, I guess, for this laptop computer. Alright, hang on. For all you people on YouTube, excusez-moi, this truly is citizen
journalist. Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Okay, we're back on live, hopefully with Blog Talk Radio, although on my studio. Okay, we're on. Alright, welcome back. Daniel Gray, Trailer Park Prophet, Crestone, Colorado, live on Blog Talk Radio. We're talking about Michael Brown, who lost his life a week ago Saturday in Ferguson, Missouri. The new breaking news is that Michael Brown was facing the Ferguson policeman when he was shot repeatedly. But it looks like Michael Brown bum rushed the cop. Meaning Michael was rushing the police officer, the Ferguson police officer, which is a total different narrative than what the media and the president have been promoting the last week. You know, the whole narrative of Michael Brown having his arms up in the air saying, don't shoot, don't shoot. Well, that's not the case. In fact, remember we played that one video of Michael Brown's companion that night, and he gave that story that the media has been using for the last week. Well, now it turns out that's not true, and we actually have the video of this young friend of Michael Brown of Ferguson, Missouri, admitting that he was telling a lie. And see, when did we play that? We played that on Friday. And so that changes the whole complexure of this story in Ferguson. And yet the rioting keeps going on. More and more proof that people are being shipped in as far away as Oakland, California. Supposedly there's a lot of people in Ferguson, Missouri from Oakland, California there to do nothing more than create havoc, chaos. Anarchy. And I bet that information isn't in the lamestream media or in the low information voters. So this whole thing in Ferguson is a manufactured issue, or at least in large part. And everybody's gotten ahead of the story and has been out there telling their side for whatever political spin they hope to achieve, political objective. And this is mainly being perpetrated by the lamestream media and the progressive socialist statists who want to use every event where a white police officer shoots a black youth that it's international news. When in fact, if you look at the actual statistics, it doesn't happen that much. I know one time is too much, but you know, in the real world, in the adult world, sometimes things like this happen, and still we don't know exactly what happened a week ago Saturday. Now, we did have one report over the weekend, and this woman was claiming to be Officer, what was his name? Now I can't even remember what his name is. There's so many different stories out there about the Ferguson officer. In fact, I might even be friends with the Ferguson officer. I can't think of his name right now. At any rate, you know who I'm talking about. Wilson, I think his last name was. Not Dylan, but Devon Wilson, something like that. The Ferguson cop. But at any rate, I've still read accounts where the cop that killed Michael Brown was white, and I saw another fairly credible source said that the cop that shot Michael Brown was white. So I'm not even sure. And remember, I reported that I was actually friends with this guy on Facebook. And that could be a hoax. I already backed off that. I apologized. I'm just not sure. I think probably the name that we've been using is right. But I'm not sure that it's the right person. I'm not even sure we really know the name of the person. Oh, but by the way, since we're talking about that, there's a story here today that the media in Ferguson, Missouri was actually giving up this guy's house. Let's see, I think I got it here. Yeah, well, somewhere in my lineup for the day, there is a story that the press in Ferguson, Missouri were actually giving out directions and a map to the officer's house that shot Michael Brown. You know, which I think is really sad. All right, oh, here we go right here. It says, Death Wish. Media draws map to home of Ferguson police officer who shot Mike Brown. Guest post by Kristen Taylor is the media trying to get Ferguson police office Daryl Wilson. That's his name. I got to write that down. Daryl Wilson. We talked about him on Friday. Daryl D.A. Wilson. All right, so anyway, and still, I don't know. Let's see if they give us a picture here. This is from the Huffington Post. And it's been weird, man. There's been this Daryl Wilson on my Facebook page. He's actually one of my friends, and he's acting as if he is that cop. And I don't know if it really is. But it says here that Dateline Ferguson, Missouri erupted in anger after Michael Brown, an unarmed black teenager, was shot to death by an officer on Saturday. Ferguson, a suburb of St. Louis, as of the 2000 census, the ninth most segregated city in America. Well, that's pretty good. Where mostly white until school desegregation when white families moved further out. Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Ferguson police chief and mayor are white. Oh, this is another story. This leads into another story I want to talk about. And basically that it's ironic that in Ferguson that the majority of the people are black, but the people in elected office are white Democrats. I don't know what that says, but it certainly says something. But I was looking in this story to actually look and see where the media supposedly is actually given. Let's see, the Los Angeles Times surfaced some alarming, oh no, these are the statistics. See, I got suckered into this story, and I didn't have time to read it in my show prep. But the headline, oh no, this is a whole nother story. I got totally sidetracked. Alright, let's not do that story anymore. Anyways, it shouldn't come as any surprise that the media would be given a map to this officer, Darrell Wilson's house. I mean, that's so low rent, but, you know, there's a lot of people that are progressive, socialist, statist, so-called journalists, and they're that vicious, they're that anal, they're that mean-spirited, they're that diabolical. I mean, that's really a big part of their whole psyche, is being like that. Anytime they have an opportunity to bring on any kind of trouble to someone who is a conservative or believes in the Constitution or Jesus Christ, that's what they're going to do. They're going to bring on whatever wrath ever comes to their mind. And given out the address and a map to this Darrell Wilson, so if people want to go and vandalize this house, protest in front of his house, even though in this country we're guaranteed a right of being innocent until proven guilty, this media guy and the lamestream media and anybody that actually publishes or disseminates this information about this Darrell Wilson, who I guess you could call him a suspect in a murder, but everything that we're learning recently is that this was anything but a execution, as the left is saying, of poor the gentle giant Michael Brown. It's just unconscionable in my mind. Okay, here is the story that I was talking about. Oh, this is actually the story I was just looking at from the Huffington Post. And I guess they have a special feature segment at the Huffington Post called Black Voices. And this is actually a story that's out there today. And it's basically talking about the demographics of Ferguson. And let's see here. Oh, so I was reading the article I was going to do anyway. Just happened to hop over there. It says here, Ferguson's police chief and mayor are white. Of the 6 city council members, 1 is black. The local school board has 6 white members, 1 Latino. Of the 53 commissioned officers on the police force in Ferguson, 3 are black, said Ferguson Police Chief Thomas Jackson. Blacks in Ferguson are twice as likely to be stopped by police as whites, according to an annual report on racial profiling by the Missouri Attorney General. Last year, 93% of arrests following car stops in Ferguson were of blacks. 92% of searches and 80% of car stops involved blacks, the report said. Well, okay. And the main reason is because Ferguson is largely black. Let's see. It says here, today, the town of Ferguson, of 21,000 people, is 2/3 black. Yet the town's leadership and police force are mostly white. Oh, what is going through your mind? What does that say? Does that say that the Democratic Party, because we know that the town officials are all Democrats, because Democrats run all the big cities, so is the Democratic Party more white, and they only give help and aid and campaign funds to white Democratic candidates? Is something like that going on? Is the Ferguson Democratic Party partial to whites? I mean, it looks like they are. And isn't it kind of ironic that one could suggest or render into conversation and discussion that Ferguson is run like a white plantation? And the people, rather, the slaves, the blacks, in this case in Ferguson, they're not slaves or don't actually have to offer up their labor to be a slave. All they have to do is produce their vote, their Democratic vote. It's a Democratic plantation in Ferguson, isn't it? 2/3 of the people are black, and the vast majority of the elected officials and cops are white. How can that happen in a democratic government? And it goes on to say that report also showed that police were less likely to find contraband on black drivers they stopped. Well, because the white people have all the drugs. And that's something I've been meaning to talk about. You know, meth, from my reading, suggests that white people, like white middle-class people, like meth. And that's part of the problem going on here in Crestone, Colorado. I talked to some people early this morning in Little Crestone, Colorado, population of 150, and they were staying in a hotel in town, and they said that they recognized that there's a bunch of meth deals or drug deals going on Silver Avenue in Crestone, Colorado. It's really evident. And I propose to you that most meth is being used by suburban whiteys. Blacks are smart enough not to carry something like that on their person. Alright, nothing else is new here. But the demographics in Ferguson are really interesting. I mean, that 2/3 of the people black, majority of the elected officials and cops white, and then the overwhelming, of course that would make sense. I mean, that overwhelmingly the statistics on arrests are going to be more black than white. I don't know how you would extrapolate those numbers and make them make any sense, really. Alright, let's see here. You're listening to the Trailer Park Prophet, broadcasting live on Blog Talk Radio. If you want to talk to me, you can do so by dialing 646-716-8506. Okay, let's see here. Moving on, next story. I mean, I can't get my mind around what's going on in Ferguson and other places, like where the blacks have a majority and the whites get elected more. I mean, there's got to be some plantation mentality going on there. Doesn't it? Oh, okay. Now, let me do this story first. Somebody wanted me to do this story, so I don't often get requests, so I want to do this story right away. And I mentioned this on Friday. And this really is kind of despicable, because I feel like this one particular story and this one terrible event where a general of ours died in Afghanistan last week or week before last, and they had the funeral over the weekend, and President Obama did not show up. And this is the highest ranking officer killed in combat since Vietnam. So this is a really big deal. And he wasn't that far away. He could easily hopped on Air Force One, or not Air Force One, he wouldn't even have done that. He could have hopped on the helicopter and just flown from Martha's Vineyard over to Virginia, I think. At any rate, he should have been there no matter what. And I'm sorry, this is a sign of disrespect. This is President Obama dishing the military, dishing the tradition of our military, dishing the fact that our first war was against radical Islam under President George Washington. This inaction by the president and the vice president is a slap in the face in the military, a kick in the pants. You know, it's disrespectful on a real high scale. I mean, he could at least send Joe Biden And then it says, you know, where is he? He's at Martha's Vineyard. And I think someone here is writing about what he was doing during the funeral. And he probably was playing golf. And it says here, this is from BizPac, many Americans were disappointed in the lack of a White House presence at this week's funeral for the highest-ranking officer killed in combat since Vietnam. Major General Harold Green, the two-star general killed in Afghanistan August 5th, was laid to rest Thursday at Arlington National Cemetery, according to MyFox DC. It was a beautiful service that was only missing one important attendee, the President of the United States. Also missing were Vice President and the Secretary of Defense, so they don't care. In fact, I imagine the people there at their service were glad the President, Vice President, and Secretary of Defense weren't there. I wouldn't want them at my funeral. I don't know about you. But it goes on to say, photos of the service posted on the internet from news services all over the globe showed a riderless horse, General's children touching the casket, and the flag presented to his widow by Army Chief of Staff General Ray Ordiniero. I don't know. I would have been there. Oh, okay, I gotta do this story. And this is, to me, this is the bigger story. I mentioned this on Friday. Or I mentioned it maybe whenever I remember I got all confused and lost all my internet postings of stories, and I just ad-libbed from my very extensive memory. But here's this story. This is from WND. And again, this is a story that happened on, I believe, 8/11/2014. And this is where these black kids killed this rabbi, shot him down in the street. And let's see, it says here, New York police in southern Florida say a New York rabbi was fatally shot during a robbery while on vacation, but as CBS 2 Steve Langford reported, the rabbi's family believes it was a hate crime. Northeast Miami-Dade County is home to a vibrant Orthodox Jewish community. That community was shattered Saturday after Joseph Raskin was gunned down while on his morning walk to temple. So here we got a story from Eyeball 2 News from Florida. Some kind of war game. Remember, this is citizen journalism. God, it's so loud.
A murder hundreds of miles away has a Brooklyn community in mourning tonight. Rabbi Joseph Raxton was visiting family in Miami when he was shot. Police say the motive was robbery, but his family is calling it a hate crime. CBS 2's Don Champion reports.
A memorial service Sunday for Rabbi Joseph Raxton, the Crown Heights native killed while vacationing in Florida.
They shot him and continued walking away, just like that.
The rabbi's son-in-law and family in Brooklyn now struggling with the loss. Investigators say the 60-year-old was walking through this Orthodox Jewish community in northeast Miami-Dade County Saturday when he was confronted by two men and then shot. Jean-Louis Dennis heard the gunshot and ran to help.
I told him my name, I told him to stay quiet, that everything was going to be fine, and unfortunately it was different.
The rabbi was on his way to temple when he was killed. While police call it a botched robbery, family members think it was a hate crime, pointing to the fact that just days ago someone painted a swastika outside a temple not far from where the shooting happened.
There's a lot of anti-Semitism going on in that community, especially what happened with the synagogue there a few days ago.
In Brooklyn, the rabbi's wife is now being comforted by friends and family. Meantime, people in the Lubavitch community, where the rabbi often worshipped, want answers on why their friend was killed.
Let's hope they find the killer or killers and bring them to justice.
The rabbi will be buried in Queens on Monday. Don Champion, CBS 2 News.
A $50,000 reward is being offered by the local community in Florida.
Now, I reported on this on Friday, or no, maybe on Wednesday. At any rate, here, this is the tale of two cities. Here's a case where there was a murder by what I saw from other stories, allegedly two black youths. And then again, they showed the desecration of that mosque in that same neighborhood. It had swastikas poorly painted, and along the bottom, it didn't say that in this report, but you could see it in the video, were the words Hamas. Now that's huge. And if these two kids were black, this is a bigger story than the story that's going on in Ferguson. Tale of two cities. But I'll bet you nobody knows about this murder in Florida. What town did he say it was in? All right, doesn't matter. It's just sad, that's all. I mean, these should be two companion stories. But they're not. Why? Because we have a media that has a narrative, a progressive socialist statist narrative, and that's what they're out there to promote. And right now they want to push the narrative in Ferguson of a white cop gunning down a black youth again. It's just, and the reason I report on this, I only do stuff I'm interested in. And I'm interested in this, and I guess maybe I'm interested because of just all the moving parts, all the politics that's going on, like in this Ferguson story. And I really shouldn't get agitated. I know I get kind of agitated because it's kind of frustrating. And really what I'd look at when I'm looking at a story like Ferguson is just the actual manufacturing of an issue and the psychological warfare. It's really kind of interesting. Okay, now this story is real disturbing. Talking about our southern border. And according to this story, they're saying that the United Nations now is in control of our southern border. And remember, it was Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton that went to the UN Council on Human Rights.
If it's an emergency issue,
hang on.
Then why is the city realizing, or why are they making the decision to not enforce it? And I'll tell you why. It's because there's been tremendous pressure put on them by the people of Houston. And so even though the people of Houston have not yet got a chance to vote at the ballot box, their voice is being heard without question.
Talking with Jonathan Sines of txvalues.org, a website that I would highly advise you to go and visit and sign up for their newsletter and email updates. They will keep you abreast of
talking about the UN and in control of our southern border.
In the state of Texas. Let me ask you, Jonathan, did I hear you correctly? There still may be some avenues to get on the November 2014 ballot? There's still some options for that you're looking at?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, I don't know where this is coming
something
from.
would have to happen quickly. But, you know how Jared and the lawyers...
oh, my God, I don't know what that was. That was Raging Elephants Radio. Oh, okay. So anyway, there's a story there by Dave Hodges. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has previously met with officials from the U.S., Mexico, okay. But at any rate, damn, that just went right into, that's interesting. I haven't been there before. Raging Elephants Radio. I'm going to have to check that out. But at any rate, here, wait, maybe I can go back in here and I'll kill the audio because there's something here I want to share with you.
Last week on Friday, and I was at the hearing, was that the folks, like myself and others, we simply dropped this effort to oppose this ordinance.
See, that goes right to the radio. You're like forced to listen to the radio now. This is something they have in the written form, and this is actually from July 26. Article by Dave Hodges says the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has previously met with the officials from the U.S., Mexico, and various Central American countries on the pretense of labeling the thousands of illegal immigrants as refugees, which they're doing, or they're going to list them as homeless so that they can go around the illegal immigration laws. God, I mean, it's a conspiracy. Goes on to say, indeed, the United Nations is now characterizing the present wave of immigrants as refugees. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Let's see here. Where does it talk about the UN being in charge of our southern border? I don't see that. Alright, let's see. Well, basically, I mean, what he's saying here is that we're under the confines and the jurisdiction of the UN because we allow them to come into our country. Oh, here we go. It says, last night the same border agent called me at the number on my business card. He stated that he had been reading my articles and that he felt that I was expressing a deep understating of the problem. However, he unequivocally stated my knowledge of the UN involvement on the border was significantly outdated and understated. He said that the UN is already here and he has seen clear evidence that, quote, they are calling the shots on the border. The agent claims that he has encountered UN personnel at the detention facilities that he and his fellow agents take the illegal immigrants to after arresting them. I asked him how he knew there were UN representatives at the border. He said he saw the proof in the sign in the sheets at the detention center. Also, he noted that members of the World Health Organization have been in attendance as well, so Dr. Jane Orient's fears of a pandemic invasion may indeed be well-founded. And this guy goes on to say, he says, throughout the course of his duties, the agent has learned that the UN personnel are making decisions on which immigrants to send to what location inside the United States. The UN? Excuse me. He said he has seen the UN personnel and the DHS, as Department of Homeland Security agents, gathering MS-13 gangsters captured from different roundups, patched, worked together as a group, and then shipped together to various locations on the perimeter of the United States. MS-13, the worst of the worst. He knows this because some of his colleagues are involved in the transport of these illegal aliens. The agent's partner also on the phone stated that I objected to admitting MS-13 gangsters into the United States, and I was told that we have our orders to treat them like everyone else. Alright, you want to talk to the Trailer Park Prophet? Call 646-716-8506. Treason, treason. Oh, get a load of this. Here is the lawyer for young Mr. Brown. What's his first name? God, I can't even think his name. I said it like a billion times. And this is his name is Benjamin Crump. He's Michael Brown's lawyer and well, you know, for the family of Michael Brown, Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump, he was the same lawyer for Trayvon Martin. And I think we have a video here. And this is how upside down our world has become. The police released this video on Friday, late Friday, I think it was. And I'm sure you've seen it. There's pictures of it and everything. Of Michael Brown, okay, hang on. Of Michael Brown in the store. In fact, we talked about it on Friday. Michael Brown was on video going into this convenience store and stealing 2 boxes of Swisher Sweets. And a guy half his size, the clerk, was saying, "Hey, buddy, you got to pay for those." And Michael Brown grabbed him by the collar. We talked about all this, and we were saying how that changed everything. Well, guess what? After that video got released, and remember, pictures don't lie, they released that video, they meaning the Ferguson police, and some people in the media said that the police were deliberately trying to character assassinate Michael Brown's character by releasing this video. And some of the commentators on the Sunday programs were basically couching it in the light that releasing this video, which is the truth of Michael Brown's demeanor that night he was killed, that this is merely character assassination. So the truth is character assassination, just like George Orwell talked about. You know, when the truth becomes hate speech, your society is in a tailspin. Well, I mean, here's some proof of that. I mean, I would say it's unbelievable, but this is what it is. This is the world we live in. I mean, no humility by Attorney Crump. In fact, he's offended by it. In fact, I think in this video he actually says they should have never released that video, and he's also going to say that it's irrelevant, that it doesn't mean anything. Well, it goes to the state of mind, counselor. And then in this video, which is really horrible, Mr. Crump, who's an attorney, he's an officer of the court. I mean, he has fiduciary responsibility. An officer of the court, in my mind, is a big deal, and that's why I think we need to have a oath court, because this attorney knows that the foundation of our judicial system is that you're innocent till proven guilty, and this attorney accuses the officer, or actually calls what happened an execution, that the officer executed his client. Execution, that's a big word. Alright, let's listen to this video. Again, this is Attorney Crump for Michael Brown's family in Ferguson, Missouri.
Jake, it's nothing but police 101 when it comes to police shootings where they shoot innocent people. You know, I've done almost hundreds of these type of cases, and it's the same strategy every time, Jake. Attack the victim, assassinate the character, and try to justify the actions. But it cannot be justified, Jake. The execution-style murder of this kid in broad daylight. It's so irrelevant. The two have nothing to do with one another, and we're going to make people stay focused on what this case is really about. Where's the report about the murder? And as you stated, it was riveting.
Now this was on August 15th, and it's now August 18th. So he doesn't know this new information. Oh, the other big news information too was that the officer Wilson, he didn't know at the time when he saw Michael Brown on the street with his little buddy walking down the middle of the street. He didn't know at that time that these two were the suspects for the robbery of the Swisher Sweets. And yet now we know that Michael Brown bull rushed the officer. And now we know that the officer didn't know that he was the one that stole the cigars. So anyways, go ahead, counselor.
To hear the police chief have to tell the truth that the officer knew nothing about what allegedly happened in the convenience store 15 minutes ago. And so that's what's troubling, and that's why so many people have such distrust for the local law enforcement agencies, and they are really concerned whether Michael Brown's family is going to get justice.
But Mr. Crump, did the family know about the surveillance video before it was released this morning?
They did not. And his parents were very upset because they are saying, well, why don't you tell us what happened when you killed my child, when you shot him multiple times in the middle of the street? You mean you're spending all your money, your resources on trying to demonize him, but you're not telling us answers that not only Ferguson but America wants to know, so we can start the healing process of why an unarmed teenager was shot down like a dog on the street.
I mean, the attorney Crump wasn't there. He's jumping to conclusions that's not very sophisticated, that's not very that's not very judicious. I mean, attorneys are supposed to have trained minds, and this guy is not acting like a very sophisticated attorney. But why? I mean, I guess the surprise is I'm surprised. But I'm more surprised by the media. Well, let's see. We got a story here from Alan West on acting white. This is funny. A new phrase in the lexicon of the ghetto. This story is from Alan West. This is actually written by Angela Graham West. This might be one of Alan West's daughters. Oh my, I can't imagine. Here's the headline from Angela West. I am acting white, that's in quotes, by asking why black people are looting their own neighborhoods. Acting white. Oh my God. Okay, Angela Graham West goes on to say, would I be acting white if I asked why in God's name are black people looting and destroying their own neighborhood in St. Louis? Would I be a sellout if I asked why stealing all tennis shoes from a sporting goods store would make a point for justice for a young man who was killed allegedly by a cop? Would I be an Uncle Tom if I asked why burning a gas station, breaking into at least one convenience store, including a check cashing store and boutique and small grocery store, a sporting goods store, a cell phone retailer, a tile store, and a Walmart would make things better? Would I be having stupidity when... would I be behaving stupidly when I told you that between 20 and 25 Walmart employees took shelter inside their store Sunday night as rioting and looting ran rampant in the area around them? And remember, a lot of these people are rent-a-mob being bussed in to create havoc, to create anarchy. And here's the big question. Who the hell is responsible for bussing these people into Ferguson? Who's paying for that fare? If there was any journalism out there, people would get to the bottom of that story. Police were having a difficult time catching the looters because crimes were happening at several locations, and it all started with a peaceful protest. In fact, I read reports in Ferguson over the weekend that things were so out of hand, the police just said, well, let them blow off some steam. So what? They're destroying personal property. That could just be a admission that the Ferguson police or the Missouri State Police realized they had enough intelligence to see that they were overwhelmed or they were outnumbered. And because, did you hear now, the National Guard is being sent into Ferguson. The governor of Missouri, Governor Nixon, has sent in the National Guard into Ferguson. It goes on here, 32 people were arrested, 2 officers had minor injuries, 1 injured a knee, another was struck with a brick, 1 officer was shot at but not struck, nearly a dozen patrol cars were damaged, and someone in the crowd fired shots at police helicopters. So, I mean, it's the same thing as last week, nothing's new. I mean, the community is just, it's out of control. And, and this is a black person writing this article, but, I mean, come on. And here's a little history on, you know, okay, just kind of run down of recent big riots. In 1980, there was a riot in Miami, you might remember. 1999, remember this, Crown Heights riot between African Americans in the area's large Hasidic Jewish community. God, I forgot about that. 1991, let's see, Overton, hang on, let me get to this. Overton, Miami, in the heavily black section against Cuban Americans, like earlier riots there in 1982 and 1994. Man, you know what, it's kind of easy to forget these. And then, of course, 1992, the Los Angeles riots after the Rodney King case was, outcome was reported. 1992, Harlem, Manhattan, in New York City, July involved blacks and Puerto Ricans against the New York Police Department around the time of the 1992 Democratic National Convention. 1995, St. Petersburg, Florida. Protest against racial profiling and police brutality. 2001, Cincinnati riots, African Americans again, and then 2009, Oakland, California, the Oscar Grant murder riots. So far, the race industry leaders, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, haven't appeared on the scene. So this is an old, I didn't realize this was old news, because in fact, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson have already arrived in Missouri. God, how old is this story? Oh, this is on August 12th. Well, you know, the headline got me. Gosh, I mean, you got to jump for acting white, like that's some kind of a crime. Oh, interesting question. Let me ask you this question. If you were killed by a cop, all right? If you were killed by a cop, which store would you want looted in your memory? Oh my God, that just kills me. I'm trying to think which one. Probably a Safeway. I love Safeway, particularly Safeway in Gunnison. And I should say hi to all my friends in Gunnison and Crested Butte. I miss you guys. All right, I already told you. I already told you about how the governor of Missouri called out the National Guard in Ferguson. And of course, this is so funny. Let's see if we have some audio from. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This story is from Best of Kane, Herman Cain. And he writes his headline. It says, Missouri governor activates National Guard in Ferguson without notifying the golfer-in-chief. Oh, did I mention Obama came back from his vacation? I reported this on Friday. He's back. And he's in Washington. I think he's going back tomorrow. And he's in Washington to talk to Eric Holder about what's going on in Ferguson. And also what's going on in Iraq. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't heard, the Obama administration, our Defense Department, has stepped up attacks on ISIS. And as I reported, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, ISIS is controlling one of these major dams outside of Baghdad in Iraq. And preliminary reports are that we and the Kurds have got control of that dam in Iraq. All right, back to Herman Cain and the golfer-in-chief. I want to just check here real quick and see if he had a recording. It's always fun to do a Herman Cain recording, but no, he doesn't have one, so we're gonna move on. I don't know how we're doing on time. We're almost at the top of the hour. A picture of a headline or a bumper sticker says, "Can't feed 'em, don't breed 'em." Man, I'm all about tough love, and you know, when I hear all these sob stories about, oh, I'm a single mother and I can't afford to pay for my kids, and yet there's these congressmen and they make $120 million a year, you know, all that whining and stuff. I'm sorry, if you can't pay to feed your kids, don't have your kids. And you shouldn't be involved in a relationship until you get to know somebody for 2, 3, 4 years. You don't know anybody until you've been around them for 2, 3, 4 years. So all you people out there let anybody mount you, or all you women out there, you want to be a sperm bank, don't ask me to pay for it. Show some discretion. Have some pride in yourself. Don't just be a sperm bank, a sex toy. And I don't care to hear you whining if you wind up with 3 kids and you can't feed them. Be a good choice of character. You're obviously not a very good choice of character because you let somebody impregnate you who is irresponsible. Duh, what are you thinking? I mean, you want to be in control of your own body? Well, show some responsibility, some discretion. Be judgmental. Don't be stupid. I mean, if you want me to pay for your birth control and your right to have an abortion on demand, then I want to say and who you lay down with. All right? You're going to hit my wallet. I want to hit your bedroom. I want to see who you're sleeping with. How's that sound? Ow, is this him? Oh, no, we already did that story. Ooh, I don't know what happened here. Okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, and here's another story, too. I mean, going back to this Michael Brown deal in Ferguson, Missouri, the reason that they didn't release the videotape of Michael Brown strong arming that clerk in Ferguson is that the Justice Department, Eric Holder, our chief legal officer in the United States, told the Ferguson police to hold on to those videos. It's kind of obstruction of justice. I mean, Ferguson didn't need the Justice Department in their lives, in their protocol, and their procedures. They didn't need that. These people are professionals. We pay a hell of a lot of money for our police to be up to speed on how to process a crime scene, and we don't need the Attorney General down there just because there happens to be a dead black. I mean, if the Attorney General's so interested in black deaths, why doesn't he go to Chicago? Over the weekend, I think there was 26 deaths in Chicago. I might be wrong on that number, but a hell of a lot more than should be happening. Why doesn't the Attorney General go to Chicago? Why doesn't President Obama go to Chicago, go to Detroit, go to Philadelphia? By the way, in case I missed it, we actually reported on this. I think this was a month ago that the police chief, he is black, in Detroit, told people in Detroit that because of the budget situation and the cutback on the patrol cars and patrols, that the people in Detroit had better arm themselves. He's telling the people of Detroit, a black police chief in Detroit is telling people to arm themselves. And then again, the new Black Panther Party is in Ferguson. In fact, we reported on that Friday. And also the new Black Panther Party is saying that they are in control of Ferguson. They're making that boast. Oh, and some of my stupid-ass Facebook friends were comparing what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan, where all those Muslims live, to the Gaza, what's going on in the Gaza between Hamas and Israel. You know, they're saying basically that in the USA we have our very own Gaza in Dearborn, Michigan. And believe me, these two knuckleheads on my Facebook page didn't come up with that on their own. They probably heard it on NPR or Media Matters, and they're you know, they're low information voters. They're on the Facebook. They have hundreds and hundreds of friends, and people believe that crap. All right, let's see. Here's this kid, the one that we played on Friday, the guy that was with Michael Ferguson on Saturday. You know, the kid that was pretty well spoken said he was out with Michael Brown and they were walking down the street, and that you know, the cop told him to get on the sidewalk, and then he sort of made a radical move with the car to force the kids on the sidewalk, and then he hopped out of the car and, you know, wound up dragging Michael Brown into the squad car and shot him once, and then Michael ran in front of the squad car and he shot him again, and then Michael put up his hands, and then the officer shot him 5 more times. That was that kid, remember, on Friday. But here he is now. Now he's singing a whole different tune. So this is from Conservative Treehouse. But this is the same kid. He was with Michael Brown on Saturday night, a week from last Saturday night, and now he's totally changing his tune.
Killed him for no reason.
And now you can see him in the video, Michael Brown, still on the ground a week from Saturday. And the police have the area all...
Live from Ferguson. They just killed this nigga for no reason.
And man, Michael Brown's just laying in the street dead.
They stay killed that boy for no motherfucking reason. She talking about some fireworks.
I heard now. Not this time of the day. When no fireworks is heard.
I'm in the bathroom in the shower. You not gonna
what do you do? What do you do?
I was getting that. Do you see a knife? Do you see anything that would have caused the fact that these motherfucking police officers, they shot that boy because they wanted to shoot that boy?
Hold on, what? Wait a minute, they killed him.
Listen to the way these people talk. You know, here, let me stop here. Listen to this black dialect. It sounds like they have marbles in their mouths. And it's really, in my mind, is devolution. But nobody will call them on that because that would be considered racist. But, you know, they're really hard to understand. All right, back to the video.
What's up, Steve?
They ain't have no reason. That's why they had no house.
All right, I don't want to hear anymore. Let's see what else. All right. I don't know. This is confusing. All right, this is actually a week ago Saturday when Michael Brown was still on the ground. I thought this was going to be the friend of Michael Brown recanting his testimony from Friday, but obviously I got this kind of goofed up. Hang on, let me make sure. Witness was unknowingly recorded. Alright, they put this kid's face on that I was talking about on Friday on another video, so I got confused, so excuse me. Alright, we're at the top of the hour. My name's Daniel Gray. We're broadcasting live on Blog Talk Radio from beautiful downtown Crestone, Colorado. If you want to call into the program, you can do so by dialing 646-716-8506. If I miss your call, please forgive me. I know not what I do. Alright, here's something for a little fun. Here's some awesome video of some things that Southern women say. This is a Dixie download. All right, ladies, take it away. Welcome to the Trailer Park Prophet Show. This is going to be funny. I know you guys are going to like this. We need to have a little break from all this seriousness. So here's Southern women. And crazy things, not crazy, but just kind of, you know, we're talking about the ghetto dialect. Well, here's some Southern women dialect. And there's black Southern women in this video, by the way, so just so you know. God forbid anyone thinks we're racist here at the Trailer Park Prophet Show. Alright, this is going to be kind of fun. I'm trying to get this to actually, what do you call it? Load up. That's not the word, but I just think this will be fun. Hang in there. Be patient. Here we go. Southern women.
Hey, Barney. What's smaller than a teeny-weeny ant?
What?
An ant's teeny-weeny.
That's a Southern man's idea of loading the dishwasher.
Getting his wife drunk.
On Easter Sunday, the preacher at Macedonia Baptist Church asked the children, does anybody know what the resurrection is? Little Johnny raised his hand. He said, yep, I do. And if it lasts more than 4 hours, you're supposed to call a doctor. Here's a shout-out to all the folks in Plant City, Florida, known as the winter strawberry capital of the world. Hey, y'all! The Dixie Dictionary. Barium. Verb. Meaning. Dispose of. Example. Poor Preacher Johnson died last night, but they're not going to bury him till Saturday. Now here's a little something you wouldn't expect. Shakespeare and Southerners share a dialect. It might sound confusing, but there's nothing to fear, 'cause we're gonna teach you Southern Shakespeare. Yeah! To be or not to be? That is the question. Shit or get off the pot? Give thy thought no tongue. Shut your pie hole. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. It's hard being beautiful. Modest doubt is called the beacon of the wise. Don't get too big for your britches. 'Tis neither here nor there. Who gives a happy ha-hoo? There is no darkness but ignorance. You can't fix stupid. Now it's time for y'all's favorite shit Southern women say. If I'd known you were coming, I'd have fixed a cake. You want your yellow vessel? Ew. She made canned biscuits. She's so lazy. She wouldn't work in a pie factory licking spoons. Men have a hard time keeping their pickle in their jar. I lost my virginity in a Chevy. I lost my virginity in a bass boat. I lost my virginity at Jesus Fat Camp. Honey, I'm late for church. I'll call you back in about 7 hours. She's such a sweetheart. She's such a honey pie. Is Kim Kardashian Spanish? She's unusual. She's different. She's eccentric. You are lying like a no-legged dog. Are you watching Scandal? Honey, I almost dropped my tea. I got camouflage panties on sale up at Walmart. God, that was a rinky-dink baby shower. Quit acting like your daddy's people. I practiced in my stepping girl. She's so clumsy she could trip over a cordless phone. Let's have one more midget look.
Alright, that's kind of fun. A little levity here at the Trailer Park Prophet Show. Ay. Let's see, I gotta go back to the next story. Nice to have a little break. Alright, now I'm at the top of the order. I gotta get down here. Where are we? How are we doing on time? Oh, cash vote. We're about halfway through, so I gotta kind of pick up the pace. Okay, I gotta go back to this. This is so funny. I don't know why I find this funny. If you were killed by a cop, which store would you want looted in your memory? That's just wrong on so many levels. Alright, let's see here. Where are we? God, hopefully, I'm done with Ferguson. We can't do any more Ferguson. No more Ferguson. But we have to do Ferguson because it's really important if we look at the body politics and the public square, and we look at all the dynamics of propaganda and how it dovetails with facts or unfacts on the ground. Oh, get a load of this, California. This is really interesting. They're suggesting, or at least a city council is suggesting, that they actually pay people to vote. Yeah, go to the voting booth, win cash money. LA's Ethics Commission is recommending that the city council consider a cash prize drawing to get people to the polls. I mean, God forbid that you have a duty and a responsibility to go vote, and that you have a duty and a responsibility to understand the issues, to know the political actors, and to involve yourself in whatever decision making that takes place. I mean, that's a duty and a responsibility, and your payback for being free, for enjoying rule of law, for enjoying liberty. Not paying you to vote. Paying you to vote is counterintuitive to the whole idea of personal responsibility. The Founding Fathers wanted personal responsibility, but the progressive socialist status, they want you to believe in the collective. The government giveth and the government taketh away, rather than in the Republican form of government where we, the people, we give our consent to be governed. Those are two diabolically, what I can't remember the exact word, but they're exact opposites. And it goes on to say, with voting rates low, abysmally low in recent elections, officials are weighing whether to offer incentives like a chance at a $50,000 cash prize to motivate the public to cast their votes. Oh, here's my headline. I think I did a headline. Oh yeah, I said of this story, I said cash to vote is devolution away from our founding principles of personal responsibility. I actually wrote another one. It was kind of sarcastic. I thought that was a one. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go, man. This really does sum it up. How this issue in Ferguson and what happened with Trayvon Martin is a manufactured issue. Now we're going to have a nationwide protest. It's called Blackout Monday. Going to be held the 8th of September 2014. Says here that will not patronize any business that is not black owned and operated. This means do not spend any money in person or online. Blackout Monday, September 8th, 2014. Here's a list of some of the stores that they want black people not to purchase anything on Blackout Monday on September 8th. First on the list, Walmart, Kmart, BJ's. I don't even know what BJ's is. Well, I know what a BJ is. All right. Sam's Club, Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's. So no home improvement. Don't get to go to Home Depot. What a drag. Okay, also blacks are to boycott Best Buy, Shell, British Petroleum, or any gas stations and convenience stores, etc. I mean, there's gotta be a handful of gas stations and convenience stores that are very supportive of black people. But, I mean, this is so absurd. Alright, we're going to have a blackout Monday, and we don't want any black folk going to any gas stations or convenience stores. I mean, it's absurd. And listen, it goes on to say that on Blackout Monday on September 8th, no fast food restaurants or sit-down restaurants, unless they are black-owned and operated, continue to go to work and school. Well, what if you work at one of these banned businesses? Just don't spend any money. Okay, there's your answer. The black dollar will make an impact. There's power in numbers, in remembrance of Michael Brown and all killed unjustly. We will hit them where it hurts, their pockets. Okay. Good luck with that. You know, maybe this will encourage the creation of more black businesses in the hood. Otherwise, it's just pretty darn funny. I'll tell you what, this isn't very darn funny too, man. I read this whole article in the WashingtonPost.com, and they did up a map, and maybe, yeah, there's a couple paragraphs I want to read to you here, talking about slavery in the 21st century, and it kind of took me back, and the headline hits you right between the eyes, because it says, this map shows where the world's 30 million slaves live. There are supposedly 60,000 slaves in the U.S. And this is a great article. It's from the Washington Post. I don't want to go into it too deeply other than to tell you that the majority of slavery is in India, number 1, Africa, number 2, Russia, number 3, Korea, Vietnam, number 4, and then number 5 gets into the southern part of South America. But it's a really good article. Again, it was written by Max Fisher, and he's just talking about how slavery works in the 21st century. And a lot of people are being forced into labor. A lot of people are being forced into prostitution. There's child soldiers, child brides forced into marriage. They're treated like pieces of property. Servitude is another form of slavery, you know, because there's a ownership link. And this Walk Free investigated 162 countries and found slaves in every single one, but the practice is far worse than some countries than others. You know, like what goes on in India is part of a caste system. It's part of a retribution system. Your time as a human in India is very much a commodity. Alright, it's too depressing. I gotta leave this story. And if you want to read it, I don't want to go into it anymore, but there is a lot of different kinds of slavery. Mainly, well, not a lot, but... Oh my God, but here's a kind of slavery. I got this from my friend Angela Bronson. Islamic State selling captured Yazidi girls for $10. Remember, the Yazidis are trapped on that mountain in Iraq by the ISIS forces, the radical Islamist ISIS surrounding this mountain, and they've captured some of these girls, and this is all according to Islamic law, Sharia law, but the Guardian won't tell you about that. They are too busy spreading libels against the Jews and their jihad against Israel. Preposterous are the believers who in their prayers are humble and from idle talk turn away, and at alms giving are active and guard their... Okay, oh my God. At any rate, that's the headline. I guess I could go into the story, see if it... I didn't have time to read it. The headline got me again. Oh, it's from Pamela Geller. This is a good source. Atlas Shrugged. And let's see. This is a really good website. Pamela Geller is, I think, a real good journalist. A real journalist. And there's that quote again. Yeah, and this is okay. This is from the Quran, 20.1-6. Prosperous are the believers who in their prayers are humble and from idle talk turn away, and at almsgiving are active and guard their private parts safe from their wives and what their right hands own, then being not blameworthy. Quran 20. Geez, what the hell does that mean? At any rate, again, the story is that the radical Islamist group ISIS has been capturing these Yazidi girls and selling them for $10. We report, you decide. Okay, this is from Dr. Alveda King. And Dr. Alveda King is the niece of Martin Luther King. And I have a quote from Dr. Alveda King. The great irony is that abortion has done what the Klan only dreamed of. Roughly 1/4 of the black population is now missing. The most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb. All right, this is good to know. Racist. The term racist, right? We hear it all the time. Those Republicans are racist. George Bush is a racist. Conservatives are racist. The Tea Party, racist. God, I'm going to puke. Racist. A made-up word by Leon Trotsky in 1927. Word was used to browbeat all dissenters of the communist ideologue. Still used to this day in the West to shut down all nonconformists. Or chills dissent. I mean, how can you prove you're not a racist? It's kind of hard, you know. Somebody makes that accusation, then you got to prove a negative, prove something you're not. That's hard to do. That's why this psychological warfare that's used by the progressive socialist status is so effective. Brutal. Okay, I love this. I love this quote. I really do. This is from Margaret Thatcher, and she says, global warming provides a marvelous excuse for global socialism. You know, and this is back in the 90s. And she was saying this before the UN, and she's absolutely positively right. You know, you'd think that the progressive socialist status have been having a campaign against the Christian community, right? There's a war on Christianity by the environmentalists, you know, in general. But my point was that the leftists have driven religion out of people, and it's created a vacuum, and the progressives hope that that vacuum is filled by environmentalism. And for a lot of people, it has. You see what I'm saying here? And And so the environmentalism becomes the new religion. But as Margaret Thatcher said, global warming provides a marvelous excuse for global socialism. Because you're appealing to the whole, the complete, the planet, our atmosphere. Without that, we're nothing. It's easy to appeal to that. Are you against the planet? Do you want to die? It's a kind of question that you would say, well, have you stopped beating your wife? It implies that you were beating up your wife in the past. And that's the same way the question is couched when people think of environmentalism. They're saying, well, are you for the planet or not? Same thing with, well, are you going to vote for more taxes for the children? Are you for the children or not? You know, they're false scenarios, they're false questions. You know, I can't remember, there's an actual name for that. But it's a type of psychological warfare that's used against conservatives. Hey, this is kind of a big story. And this comes from a tweet from Bill Gates from Microsoft. And this, I gotta read this to you. You gotta hear this. But the bottom line is that China has been building a lot of stuff in China with concrete. And so this is from today. This is from the Huffington Post business section. And I like the headline. It says, Bill Gates just blew our minds in a single tweet. I mean, just think. We have such access to information. All right, anyway, on to the story. For the past several years, China has been building stuff at a mind-blowing pace. Just how mind-blowing? Here, let's let Bill Gates put it into perspective. Think about this for a second. Between 1909 and 2000, the U.S. built an entire interstate highway system, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Hoover Dam, and just about all of its skyscrapers, to name just a few concrete-intensive things. China did all that and almost half again in just 3 years. On this blog, Gates suggests that all of this concrete had helped pull China out of poverty, but all of this building has also left China with a huge and dangerous property bubble, massive ghost cities, and empty housing. I remember reporting on these ghost cities 2 years ago, and I said at the time, I don't know if this is real. Just reporting, you decide. And so here, a few years later, they're talking about China just keeping people busy, this workforce busy, and creating these ghost cities. I mean, you should see them. They're creepy. Whole cities, brand new cities, and nobody lives there. Ay, ay, ay. So they're saying that so what happens? So they have a property bubble and it collapses, and all those people that were living at a high income level, then that money's pulled out from underneath them. Maybe China has a unemployment system, food stamps, housing, who knows? So if China has a housing bubble, it's obviously a huge bubble because they're building stuff like crazy. And eventually they have to stop building stuff that they don't need, so all those people become unemployed, and they could be co-opted to protest against the government. That's what the Chinese are worried about. Huh. Well, that's good news. I think China going into a recession, or even better yet, a depression, would be a really good thing. Oh my God, Michael Brown. I'm sorry, we can't go back to Michael Brown. All right, but if you want to listen to some, you know what? Maybe we should just do this. No, I don't want to do this. If you want to listen to the gentle giant Michael Brown, who got shot, you can go to my Facebook page and you can listen to his rap music. But we're not going to do that. I got something I want to do instead. I want to do a few more things. Again, you know, we were talking about the Inspector Generals, the IGs, and how they were appointed back in they were created in 1978, and an Inspector General is the people's eyes and ears of the various segments of government. They're there to root out fraud, corruption, and abuse. They're there for the public's eyes and ears. Very important part of the law, the Inspectors General. And there's an Inspectors General of Congress, of the Attorney General, of the EPA, Social Security, the Army, you know, on and on and on. And there was that letter we talked about. The majority of them, 37 of them, actually enjoined in a letter, put their signature to a letter that the Obama administration has been stonewalling information that they've been trying to get by their statutory authority. So it's a big deal that all of these all these Inspector Generals signed this letter. Never happened before. Okay, here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a little fun here. You're listening to Daniel Gray. I'm the Trailer Park Prophet, broadcasting live on Blog Talk Radio from beautiful downtown Crestone, Colorado. And we're going to do a tribute today to Cab Calloway and the Nicholas brothers. I found this from one of my Facebook friends, and it made me happy, and so I want to spread some happiness on the Trailer Park Prophet Show.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something to shout about?
All right, I think there's more. Hang on.
Let me dig this job once more, boy. Settle down and get over.
jumping jive makes you lift your jive on the mellow side. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. The Jim Jam jump is a silent jive. Makes you 9 foot tall when you're 4'5". Hip, hip. Hip, hip. Now don't you be that inkaroo. Get hip, come on, and then you follow through. You get your study full. You make up the joint and jump like the gators do. Jim Jam jump is a jumping jive. Makes you like your legs on the Jersey side. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. The Jim Jam jumping jive makes you hep, hep on the Mahala side. Diddly, 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 bang, 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 da-da. Now don't give up the jumping jive. Jim Jam jumping jive. You got to dig this mellow jive. Yes, yes. You dig it on the Mahala side. A buddly, buddly, buddly boy. Buddly, buddly boy. Buddly, buddly, good.
Guys are doing the splits. It's insane. This is so good. This comes from I Love Being Black. I love this website. Alright, it's almost done here. Oh my god, I got a tear in my eye. And again, this is from I Love Being Black, and that was Calloway and the Nicholas Brothers from a 1943 film, Stormy Weather, starring Lena Horne, Bill Robinson, and Calloway. And it's absolutely brilliant. Oh, and Fred Astaire once called this video that I just played the greatest dance number ever filmed. And again, you can go to my Facebook page and check it out. Daniel Gray. Trailer Park Prophet. Alright, we're at the bottom of the hour. Thanks again for being here. Oh, this is kind of weird. I got this from Alan West, and he's begging the question, should we be concerned a German officer is now the Army's chief of staff in Europe? I tell you what, General Patton would never have believed it. And remember, World War I, World War II, we fought those because of German aggression. You know, this story really kind of pisses me off. This is about Starbucks, you know, the coffee place, which I never liked. I remember when these started to pop up in Denver, and then I was traveling around all the big cities there in the early 90s, and, you know, it was so trendy to go to Starbucks, and I went to one or two of these, and I swear to God, they turned me off. I mean, I will not stand in line with a bunch of people, a bunch of strangers, many of which are sick and tired and boring, to buy an expensive cup of coffee that I can buy down the street for a fraction of the price. You know, to me it was Starbucks was a testament to a ritual that I think people needed in their lives, which may have been supplanted by Christianity being sucked out of our society. You know, I mean, I'm back on that same theme, but Starbucks, get a load of this. They obviously hate Israel, and their CEO is bragging about their Muslims operations. And here's a quote. He says, "We operate Starbucks stores in Bahrain, Cyprus, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Morocco, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates in the Middle East." And so this guy, who is the CEO of Starbucks, is basically giving the Western world the finger. That's what this is. This is big medicine, my fellow lovers of liberty. Rather bold. So don't go to Starbucks. Here's a picture again of Michael Brown. He has a big wad of cash in his mouth. He's got a 9mm and a bottle of Hawaiian Punch and what looks like some kind of a clear alcohol. Let's see. Oh, meaning to do this story for a while. You know, you always hear the narrative from the lamestream media about the do-nothing Republican Congress, right? And you're going to hear a lot of it during the upcoming election cycle. So, there are, on Harry Reid's desk, the President of the Senate, the democratically controlled U.S. Senate, there are 352 bills are sitting on Harry Reid's desk awaiting action from the do-nothing Republican Congress. 89% passed the House with bipartisan support, all right? That's encouraging. 50% of them passed unanimously with no objection, okay? 70% of the bills passed the House with at least 2/3 support, meaning there were a lot of Democrats that voted for these bills. And a lot of these bills were bills to get the economy going. Stimulus bills, job bills, construction bills, all right? You need to know that. Now, 55 of them were introduced by Democrats. Why wouldn't Harry Reid act? Americans deserve better. Now, if you want to check out my source, and you can do that, you can go to Representative Lynn Jerkins. She's a Republican for Kansas. So no matter what the truth is, the narrative from the progressive socialist statist movement is going to be that there is nothing coming out of the House to stimulate the economy. And here is proof, axiomatic proof, that that claim is false. Oh, did you hear about this? There's going to be a marriage from, or two WNBA players. That's the Women's National Basketball Association players. Two of those female players are going to get married. Former Baylor College basketball star Brittany Griner is accustomed to success, and her life took another big step towards or forward as she and her girlfriend Corey Johnson got engaged on Thursday. See, we're on top of things here at the Trailer Park Prophet. And both these young ladies are professional basketball players in the Women's National Basketball Association. And by the way, this is a really good game. I love watching these ladies play ball. They play a really good, entertaining, fast-paced game of basketball. And you should please, 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 please watch these ladies. So I'm elated that these two ladies are going to get married. And I'm sorry I got to do this, but these two ladies, one's white and one's black. So that's even better. It's like a double whammy on the karma of society. Oh, the Mexico protest National Guard on the border. Rick Perry refuses to stand down. I mean, God damn. You mean a secure border between Mexico and U.S. isn't a shared concern? Obviously not. So then it begs the question, well, why doesn't the Mexican president, or why is the Mexican president getting mad at the governor of Texas for locking down the border? And the answer to that is Mexico is exporting their criminals, their trouble, they're unmotivated. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not going to go into this because we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to finish up everything on the agenda here. But there's been a case filed against Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, by this woman from this district attorney, and she's on my Facebook page. She was a district attorney, and she impaneled a grand jury, and they indicted Rick Perry for basically threatening to veto a bill if they were going to continue to have this woman here, this district attorney, as their district attorney. And this lady, I can't think of her name right now, this district attorney actually got caught drinking and driving, and she was totally out of her mind. I mean, she was combative. She couldn't follow simple directions. And then they put her in the cop car, and she's kicking at the doors, and they put her in the jail. And she's a district attorney in Texas who has taken Governor Rick Perry to, a grand jury. So at any rate, after she gets to the jail, she was so combative they had to put her in one of those restriction chairs, and several times they had to put spit mask over. I mean, she went absolutely positively berserk. I wish I had her name. But you can go onto my website, and on my website is this, it's on Facebook, but it shows this all on video. I mean, this woman is totally out of her mind. Remedial education, no, I can't do it right now. I'm kind of tired. Okay, let's see here. What do we got for time? 15 minutes left. Okay, back to Ferguson. God damn it. I put that name out of my brain. No, I'm not going to do this story. Wow, I think I'm actually... This is kind of interesting. This is a Sal Alinsky. We're always talking about Sal Alinsky, who was one of Barack Hussein Obama's mentors. He was a college professor in Chicago, and actually Barack Obama worked for one of his Sal Alinsky's foundations. They still had community organizing, and Barack Obama worked for that Sal Alinsky organization that did community organizing. Da-da-da-da. And this is about Sal Alinsky's book, Rules for Radicals. Maybe I shouldn't do this. I'm not going to do this. I can't believe it. I've actually went over on I ran out of stories for the amount of time. Now, okay, here's something I was talking about the other day, and I was trying to think of a way to explain how I feel about the whole dust up the issue about voter registration, and how the progressive socialist liberals are out there saying that conservatives are trying to keep people from the polls. And I said that black, white, brown, if you cannot get an official ID to legally vote in the USA, you are either not eligible to vote, or you are stupid, ignorant waste of liberty and oxygen. Alright, I guess that is kind of dumb. At any rate, my point was there was this posting of this guy. He was a lovely looking black man, and they said he was 98 years old, and that he went to vote recently, and he was rebuffed at the polls. He was rejected at the polls. And my remarks here are kind of dumb, but basically what I'm saying is that if you're 98 years old and you don't have an ID by then, or if you're a person of reasonable intelligence in the United States and you're legal and you're of age, you have a right to vote. And if you can't get an ID, there's something seriously wrong with you mentally, or you're lying, or you're an illegal alien, because it's easy in the USA to get an official ID. So I was just trying to make the point that don't give me that. I'm trying to think, what's the term they always use, that the Republicans are trying to keep people from the polls? Yeah, this is the guy here. It's called, I mean, this is such propaganda, psychological warfare. Here's a picture of this beautiful old black man sitting on his couch. He has a beautiful smile on his face. He looks great. And this is from Occupy Democrats. And above it says, shameful, shameful. Republicans love to start wars to promote democracy abroad while systematically destroying democracy here at home. Jim Crow ID laws that target minorities are the real voter fraud. And this is from, get a load of this, I just noticed this. This is from MSNBC. And the image is from Occupy Democrats. And that's where we have the picture of this beautiful black man sitting on his couch with a smile. He's got a watch on. He's wearing jeans. He has a really nice looking orange shirt on. Got a ball cap on. And it reads here, disenfranchised, disenfranchised in Alabama. This 93-year-old Willie Mims, what a beautiful name, Willie Mims. He has voted in every election as far as Alabama records go. He no longer drives, doesn't have a license, and has no other form of ID. On Tuesday, he was turned away from the polls for lacking an ID. Share if you agree it's time to end the new Jim Crow voter ID laws. Occupy Democrats. I mean, what? That's such garbage. I mean, I'm looking at Willie Mims here, and you have to know Willie is perfectly capable of getting himself an ID. He's not in a wheelchair. He looks like he walks. And I would love, now this would be journalism. If we could, you know what, maybe I could Google this, or actually see if he's on Facebook. I wonder if Willie, what I say his name was, Mims, is on Facebook. Hey Willie, what's going on? And no, he's not there, but you know darn good and well. Oh wait, maybe I didn't spell it right. Let's see, it's Willie Mims. How did I say it was? Yeah, it was M-E-M-M-S. Alright, well, you know. Took that story as far as we could go. And I'll bet you anything that picture of Willie Mims is somehow BS. Barry Soetoro. Alright, you know what? I think I'm going to call it a show. I actually made it through all of my material that I wanted to use today. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Oh, I wonder... Oh my God, I haven't... Oh, I forgot to unplug that. I haven't been on the air. Oh boy, was that ever dumb. I just pulled this one plug out of the computer, which meant that the whole time I was recording on Blog Talk Radio, none of that is there. Oh my God, that is such a heartbreak. Alright, well, what are you going to do? Okay, listen, everybody on Blog Talk Radio, I actually screwed up, like I just said. I plugged in the external speakers so that I could amp the volume when I was doing the Calloway piece, and when I stopped that video I needed to pull out the cord so that my spoken word and audio would be on the recording for Blog Talk. Well, if you're really interested, that audio, I do have that captured here at the Trailer Park Prophet Show office complex, and I'm going to download it to YouTube, and then I'm going to try and download this portion off of my own recording, or actually wipe out my recording at Blog Talk Radio and put in this new recording. So I made a big mistake. Son of a gun. I was going to get out of here earlier, but I feel bad. I left you Blog Talk people hanging like that. But you know what? The old prophet is a little bit tired, and I got a lot to think about. So I'll tell you what. We are going to head out of here. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday for Hump Day with the Prophet. And I'm going to...
technically your device is on.
I'm going to... This is this girl here that's deaf, and they just put the implants in her. And she learned to hear for the first time in her life, or was able to hear for the first time in her life. Alright, everybody, we'll see you on Wednesday.